Internets, what is good? It's your boy Awthentik. We are back with another episode of Awthentik and The Beard. Yo, I just actually checked, man. This is our 101st episode on Awthentik and The Beard, man. So salute to the gang, salute to the chat, man. Y'all been supporting us since day one. Got a lot of love for y'all out there one time in the building. Today is a massive day, man. Me and my brother The Beard are going down to FedEx Field to watch our New York Giants take on the Washington football team, man. This should be a really interesting game. Without further ado, let me bring in the homie one time, man. Left side.
Strong side.
What's up, boy?
Let's
How you
go.
doing?
I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. Let me tell you, man. I got up out of bed today. I said, oh, man, it smells like, it feels like football game
L's for
day.
y'all.
The biggest, the biggest event usually for Awthentik and The Beard is when the New York Giants come to town. We've been doing this game, going to this game, tailgating this game for like 11, 12 years maybe now.
Yeah, something like
So
that.
like, you know, this is like a huge thing for us, and we're super excited. And like, it's crazy because we haven't had one of these this early in the season in a very long time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the games have usually been later in the season. So to have one this early, and it feels like this important, you know, like typically the second game of the season, you're like, okay, you know, especially with the new 17-game season. But right now, it feels like a must-win for both teams, which is kind of crazy. Also, I'm breaking out some old school trash bag wings.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Oh,
Listen,
this is about to be a disaster, y'all. I
No,
tried
no,
to
no,
tell
no,
them,
no,
let's
no.
just do some pre-cooked patties and some dogs.
Listen. I had to. I was like, you know what? We need some trash bag wings. But listen, I'm gonna drop them in the air fryer right before we go.
Oh,
when
that's
we,
smart.
You know,
Yeah,
and then
so
I'm
you ain't
gonna
gotta
put them in the aluminum container
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And then when we get there, just sit it on
Toss
top of
them on,
the
should be
grill
real
and warm
quick.
it up a little bit.
Hey,
I
you
got
remember
two
that time
flavors.
when what's my man Mike D
knocked
he
all the
dropped
wings
knocked
off the
all the
grill?
wings off the hood of the car after they got cooked. It was like 100 wings. He dropped every last wing on the floor. So guess what? We had to do the 5-second rule. A lot of people was just scooping wings up off the ground, just straight crushing them, savage style. Yo.
I will never forget that, man. But yeah, I got two flavors. I got sesame ginger, and I got some.
You see, there's no excitement on my face.
I know. I'm trying to get you there. It's some jerk. I got some jerk wings.
Okay.
And I got some sesame chicken. They
Shout out to the
getting
homie
ready.
Damon. If you're ever out in Hawaii, they got the best jerk chicken out there,
Facts.
man. Rick's Jerk.
Facts.
Definitely check them out, man. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. This should be a really fun game. It's been a while since we got the tailgate. This is my first tailgate since the 16-month layoff off the alcohol and all that. So we about to turn up, man. It's about to be a good time out there. We got a bunch of friends coming out to meet us. I know Balby was telling me he couldn't make it, man. That's tough, man. Next game, Balby, we're going to be there. Don't even trip, man.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
So, let's say some hellos to a couple of people in the chat, and then we're going to get down to business.
Yes, sir.
Big time football action. Shout out to the homie Waterflies in the building. Says little midday show. You know, we had to get everybody a taste of what's going to happen tonight beforehand, because you know we're going to be at the game. If you go into the game, green lot E40, we're going to be out there partying, tailgating. And then if you're watching the game on TV, make sure you look for us on the TV. We sitting in what, 113? Is that what
113,
it is?
yep, right by that tunnel in the end zone, man. We'll see. I'm gonna try to, maybe I'll wear a big hat or something, you know, so people can spot me out.
Let me tell you, I had a dream that they was down in the red zone, like 15-yard line, and the play broke down, and quarterback had to throw it out the top of the end zone. And I did one of these one-handed Odell Jones and snagged it down, and then everybody in the stands around us went crazy.
Wait, is this a real dream or is this a made-up dream?
No, this was a real dream. That's what I'm saying. Like when I woke up this morning, I guess that's why I felt so much like football, because I made that crazy catch in the stands during my dream, man. I'm like, I'm lit. I'm ready.
If that happens today, wow, that'll be lit.
James Root is in the building. Says they're going to be at the game tonight, so they're coming on earlier than normal. He also says,
yes, sir.
I'm going to let you say this one. What does he say?
You can read that, right?
Let's
My
go,
font's a
Big
little
Blue.
bit small. I can't see it. Say that.
Big shout out to Lax044. We might pop on during the game, man. Or before the game, not during the game. 'Cause when we in the game, we watching the game.
Yeah, or maybe like a quick halftime vibe or something. We're gonna bring our phones. Usually the service in FedEx Field is really sketchy, but we'll see what we can pull, man. Because that would be really cool for y'all to get like an experience of like seeing FedEx Field from the cameras. You know what I'm saying?
Big shout out to Zach, Simon Cowell. Oh, I always almost do that. Simon Cowell. Simon Coleman is in the building. There goes
What up,
Bobby.
Simon? What up, Lax?
Shout
What
out
up,
to
Bobby? Gang in the building.
Edward
one
is
time.
in the building. Shout out to
Edward in the
Edward.
building.
Edward been showing us a lot of love this season, man.
Facts,
I appreciate that, Edward.
Big shout out to
Appreciate
Edward,
all
yo.
the love, man. Mr. Mini Guy is in the building, stopping in to say hello.
Appreciate you, Mr. Mini
Appreciate
Guy.
it. Sean G is in the building.
Hey, regulars, man. What's up?
Jameson is in the building under
Day
Karen
ones.
Taylor.
Hey, what up,
Who else we
J-Mo?
got?
J-Mo
Frankie
says that somebody
G.
might have blocked him on the channel. We got to check that out.
Yeah,
I bet it was one of the mods having problems with J-Mo. I'm gonna have some problems with J-Mo today myself, to be honest. It's not Jameson Taylor, but
Do I need to get ice?
We'll figure it out, man. Last minute vibes. We'll
right.
see what's
Big
up.
Play Slay is in the building. What's
Shout
going
out Big
on?
Play Slay. Y'all go
Appreciate you
sub up.
stopping
Eagles
by.
content creator.
I see a Borsico in the chat.
Hey, what's
Jason
up, Jason? How you living?
Borsico.
How you living, Neff? How you living? You know we grinding. Love you too, fam.
We got to give a big shout. You knew this was coming. Big shout out to Waterfly for the $2 super chat. $9.99 Heineke. Go G-Man.
It's kind of wild. Yo, Chase Young should have put a trademark or a patent on that Heineke, because everybody says that now when they say Heineke. I see it all over TV now.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Joe Deals, Chicago Bears, resident Bears fan is in
What
the
up, Joe?
building. Matt says, make sure y'all not sitting under any pipes.
Yeah,
Man,
we hear this.
that was
stadium's
that was the
turmoil.
craziest video. So Marjorie's in the building.
Hey, what's up,
Entertainer
Marjorie? Giants
talking
Nation.
sports is
Entertainer
in
talking
the
sports.
building.
Hey, man, thank you for having me on the channel last night, man. That was a real lengthy stream
Yeah.
we did, man. A lot of good content. And I definitely appreciate you chopping it up with us afterwards too, man. That was real fun with me, the Entertainer talking sports, Pest, and Nikki as well, man. It was a really good conversation. A lot of different perspectives, man, and a lot of different angles on the New York Giants.
Yeah, it was great. The last couple of days have just been so solid when it comes to the talk about the Giants and the Washington game. I was on Cop Pizzle's channel. Shout out Cop Pizzle for having me on. That was a ton of fun.
Y'all had me cracking up, dog. I was laughing so hard during that stream, man.
I'm telling man, as soon as before we even went live, we were talking. I was like, "This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be wild."
Yeah,
You know
y'all
what I'm
gotta do that
saying?
again.
So big shout out Cop Pizzle for having me on. Talking Giants, Awthentik was on there with Pest, which was a dope show.
Big shout out
and
to
then
Bobby
right
and Justin
after
for having us on
Entertainer. So it was man, this dope content coming out everywhere. So we appreciate
Bobby and
everybody
them just
for
dropped
having us on.
a podcast this morning at 8 o'clock. I got about halfway through it. I was trying to get a little bit of a little bit more knowledge before entering our stream, man. And it seemed like it's a really good one. It's an hour long. Definitely check that out before the game if you're trying to burn some time, especially. I know we got a couple hours here. We going to be at the tailgate, but for those that are going to be at home, definitely check them out, man. They released some dope content this morning.
And I got to give some love to my fiance who says
What
that
up,
she
Josie?
is ready.
Hey, I
We'll
mean,
be
y'all
home
ready
soon.
for that L? We're going to break down these numbers. Y'all ready for that L? I know y'all
So
ready
yeah,
for that L, Josie.
it's gonna be quite a
Mac the Giants
event
fan in the
today,
building one time, too. I see Tommy in the building, too. What's up, Tommy?
for sure. I thought I saw there he is. Bad Dog's in the building.
Bad Dog's in the
Listening
building,
while
and you
I
got a
pay
super
these
chat up
bills.
there, too.
Cody Jentz is in the building. I mean, we getting some big people in the building saying hello. Gerald Sports is in the building. Shout out to the Flight Room TV.
Oh, yeah. What's
also.
up, fam? Yeah, how you living,
Big
dog?
shout out. And then shout out to Entertainer for the $5 super chat. Says thank you for coming on last night, my man. Enjoy the
Hey, we might have to frame
game.
that super chat up. Put it in a nice little frame, keep it in, man. No, not too many people getting them super chats from Entertainer, man. That's major right there. Shout out Entertainer, Giants Nation in the building. You know what it is.
Yo, it's about that time, man.
It's about that time, man. You ready?
Close,
You ready
huh,
for
man?
this one? You ready for this one?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
This is my first. The jersey making the debut today. Brought out the Eli Manning. You know what I'm saying? Hoping to channel some good Eli Manning vibes, even though Daniel Jones might not need them in this game. We already know what's good with Daniel Jones against the Washington football team, man. So let's get into this matchup, man. Week 2, it already feels like a must-win, which is crazy because they added a game to the schedule this year. But now we jumping the gun early on the must-wins already. The Giants are looking to win their 6th. I did not get that wrong. Their 6th straight game versus Washington. Giants have won 11 of the last 15 at FedEx Field. We were talking about that, how we've been going for about 12 years, and it's hard for us to find games that the Washington football team or /Redskins actually won while we were there. The last Washington win was in 2017. We were there for that. The series record is 104 and 68-4 in favor of the Giants, which is just amazing, man. There's a lot to be talked about in this game. I got a couple questions for you. But before we get into it, give me your general scope on the game, just what you're looking for out of your team, especially offensively to start, being that y'all struggled, and we know about the quarterback situation. So actually, let me get into the injury report before you get into that. Giants have linebacker Cam Brown out with a hamstring injury. Tight end Evan Ingram is going to be out with the calf injury, and Shane Lemieux, who actually got some PT in last week's game, is going to be out as well with the knee injury. Saquon Barkley comes into this game questionable, but I would expect to see him on the field in a larger role, actually, than he had last game. And we know what happened with Ryan Fitzpatrick with the injury last week. He's going to be on injury reserve for a couple of weeks here. And Antonio Gibson comes in with limited practice with the shoulder injury. I'm looking for him to go. Should be a full go.
Well, big shout out to the homie Big Doug Show, checking in from Periscope. He got a dope channel, the Big Douglas Show. He does with Pooh from Knife Wonder. So they always got
me about that, man.
They always got
a really dope
crazy
podcast,
guests.
Man.
Yeah, they do a really good job. So big shout out to him.
What's the name of the podcast one more time for the people in the chat?
The Big Douglas Show.
The Big Douglas Show. I'm going to definitely make sure I check them out, yo. That sounds like a dope concept.
And then big shout out to Cody. Says, Giants win 28-25. See y'all tonight, my first game.
Yeah, pull up, man. Green Lot E40, Cody. We're going to be in the building for sure.
For sure. So, I mean, as far as what I'm looking at in an overall scheme of things is this is going to be like, okay, Taylor Heineke is the quarterback right now. There's no questions asked. We don't there's no competition. Fitzpatrick is hurt. Hopefully Heineke can stay healthy, because you know how this story goes in Washington. Starting quarterback goes down, backup quarterback comes in, they go down, and next thing you know, Mark Sanchez is playing quarterback against the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, and Mark Sanchez is no Willie Beeman. Let's keep it 100 here.
so it's crazy to think of, that we're in this situation. And for those of you, I'm sure, that watch the podcast know that I'm not necessarily the biggest Taylor Heineke guy, but he is our starting quarterback, so I will be standing behind him 100%. I think Antonio Gibson, we talked about this a lot last year. Going into this year, the offense really runs through, the Antonio Gibson. So that's a huge part of our offense. So, I mean, we talked about Jason Garrett a lot, especially you on that Giant overreaction, show. And it's like, you got to kind of look at Scott Turner the same way. Like, what is Scott Turner going to do? Because he's going to have to get creative with the way the offensive line performed, and that's the biggest difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke is going to be the mobility. So like if Taylor Heineke can create plays on the move, that's going to be huge. I think they need to get the targets up on Terry McLaurin. Like, you see the Raiders, right? The Raiders know that they have Darren Waller. What do they do? They target him 20 times.
Yeah.
Like, how many people
that does seem a little bit overboard, but here's the thing too you got to think about. He's probably the biggest mismatch as far as a pass catcher in the NFL.
For sure.
As a guy who can run it like a wide receiver from the tight end position, I mean, yeah, you can set up a lot of mismatches against linebackers, and he's the kind of guy you could just continuously target. I think when you're a guy on the outside, it's a little bit harder to kind of, keep targeting a guy like that, but as a coach, you got to find a way to put your players in the best position for sure.
That's definitely the case. Big shout out to Stephen Lilly for the £5 super chat. Says Giants win tonight, and the only thing the Washington football team can blow out are their dolls.
Hey,
got it.
Kind of get that. That's kind of sketchy for this podcast. It's a family-oriented podcast, buddy. It's like, nah.
But yeah, so I mean, like, those are the certain things, and obviously, you're not necessarily saying 20 targets, but he only had 4 targets last week.
Yeah.
Albeit, we only ran, 49 plays total in the entire game. So it's kind of like, but we got to do something. And even Logan Thomas, like, let's see some more Logan Thomas. So, and then I'm kind of just going to have my eyes on the trenches, and we're going to talk about that today. But my eyes are going to be on the trenches, offensive line, defensive line.
Man, it's going to be tough, too. You know how
exactly.
when you're watching the game live, it's really difficult. The announcers, man, kudos to all the announcers. I know a lot of people aren't high on, like, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, and all these guys, Collinsworth and all that. But they do a good job, man. Like, without that, when you go to a game live, you really got to do that for yourself. And you can't see everything, the instant replays, the production teams that are involved with the NFL, man. Like, it's just so much going on that is we kind of overlook. And then when you go to a game, like, bro, I don't even know what's going on right now.
I do need to get a nice little Riggins jersey for sure, Bad Dog.
Oh,
I
yeah,
appreciate
Diesel
you
was a
noticing
beast.
the hat right there, too.
Shout out to man Bad Dog in the building, man. Giants Nation all time.
Facts. Big shout out to Waterfly for the $2 super chat. Says Jimenez sacks 999 Heineke tonight. Old Dominion University alums.
That's what's up. That's
open
what's
up the playbook on offense. I mean, and that's something we kind of been talking about on both of these teams. Is literally just like, are we gonna see something different? Something, And I'm not talking about a double reverse jet sweep flea flicker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't necessarily need that. I just want to see some sort of variety. Like just less predictability. Okay, because a lot of times I feel like with Washington, their offense is very predictable. And I'd like to see something a little bit different. I want to see Antonio Gibson be treated like he's Christian McCaffrey. Does that make sense?
Gotta hold on to the football.
Yeah, you do, and he knows. Like he knew he took the ownership for that fumble. He just when he went up, he didn't hold it high and tight. He made a mistake, and you got to remember too. He just became a running back last year. Like he played wide receiver in college, so it's like
you say that a lot.
I know.
Logan Thomas just became a tight end, and he pretty much was like top 2 in touchdowns as far as tight ends go.
Well, he played tight end before he had the breakout season last year. But yes, he was originally a quarterback for sure.
Yeah.
So
playmakers are playmakers. You don't just go to running back. You saying it like it's me out there. Like, man, he was just doing a podcast with me, and now he's on the field playing running back. You know what I'm saying? They on the field. I feel the same way about Saquon Barkley. Like, I don't want to hear about the injury no more. You're on the field. You're on the field. Play ball, man.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think that that whole thing I talk about is the rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you help a running back running rhythm wise when he also gets his hands on the ball on some passes. You know what I'm saying? Just because it gets that blood flowing, gets the legs going, the vision opens up. You got to kind of see the field a little bit better. So I just want to see that sort of utilization of Antonio Gibson.
And y'all have 2 backs to do it. So he doesn't even have to really be the person to put the whole load on his shoulders. You could split it up with the 2. And you might have 3 backs. We know that Patterson's been a splash in the preseason. He only got like 1 carry, I think, or 2 carries in the last game. But y'all got good running backs over there. But the Giants are a good run-stop team. For the most part, against the Broncos, we stopped the run outside of that big run that Melvin Gordon had there at the end of the game. But I like what I was seeing out of the Giants defense. And Aziz just blew a complete play on that, and that's why we got the touchdown from Melvin Gordon. Otherwise, those stats don't look as padded. But let's go to our running back. Let's get into the meat and potatoes and talk about my man Saquon Barkley, because I'm looking for Saquon Barkley to come out here and run the ball as if he's not hurt. I could tell that last week's game plan was a little bit dialed back for him. They were trying to keep him healthy, not trying to let him get on the outside, doing too much juking, too much cutting, and having to put a lot of strain on that knee. But Barkley has had some of his best games against Washington, and I know you remember that last game we were at. I can't remember where Mark Sanchez was in the quarterback. Josh Johnson came out. We ran up the scoreboard on you. I was like 36-6 or something at the half.
It was bad.
Now, Saquon Barkley has totaled 587 scrimmage yards in 3 career games versus Washington, including a franchise record of 279 scrimmage yards. He had his career best 189 rushing yards against y'all in that game, and 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. And in his last game, that was against Washington on December 22nd, 2019. So we're just looking at this like, can we get Saquon back to normal? Because that will lead me to my next point, which is the new weapons for the Giants. Like, for all these new weapons to really start clicking, we need to get Saquon Barkley going. The running game needs to get going. This is probably the most pivotal thing for the whole entire Giants game plan, because not field position, but time of possession was a major issue for the Giants in that game, especially in the first half. We only had the 4 drives in the first half. You saw Daniel Jones on the sidelines a lot. I'm going to chalk that up to not getting a lot of yards on first down and then being forced to, throw the ball on second down. And a bit, I will say, after looking at the game a little bit more, shout out Jerome Baker in the building one time. Check them out too. What's a podcast? They got an awesome current event podcast they do. But I just think, like, get Barkley going. It's going to help the defense. We'll be able to control the clock a little bit more, and we'll be able to run and be effective off of the play action. Because right now, when you're running the play action with Daniel Jones, if I'm a linebacker, I'm not even that pressed to step up because the Giants can't get the running game going. The one thing that I think was a positive about the new weapons in the game versus the Broncos is that 5 players caught their first pass. So they utilizing these new weapons. Everybody got to at least touch the ball. I got to see a little bit more of Kadarius Toney in this game, and I want to see him utilized kind of like a running back, but more like somebody that would be in Carolina. DJ Moore vibes, even Curtis Samuel when he was over there doing a lot of things out of the slot, get the ball in his hands in open field, let the kid make plays. You even saw it when he got blown up in the backfield. He's twisting and turning trying to get out of it. Kadarius Toney is a bona fide playmaker. We got to find a way to get the ball in his hands, and I think that will be the success for the New York Giants right there is like find a way to run the ball and do creative things outside of your wide receivers and your tight ends, and in return, everything else should open up offensively and defensively.
What's interesting is that I'm looking at this game, and I've been thinking about it a lot, obviously, the last couple of days, and it's just like this game could go so many different ways. Okay, so like for me, this is a huge, I call it a spotlight situation. Okay,
Yep.
Because there's a lot of players on both sides of the ball on both teams that are basically under the spotlight right now. Like. Daniel Jones, it's time, like you said. Like, is Daniel Jones going to be a quarterback to be reckoned with in this league?
Yeah.
Chase Young. Is Chase Young going to be this dominant force that everybody's been talking about? Taylor Heineke. I mean, half of the entire Washington fan base been calling for Heineke ever since he was head diving into pylons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like all of these players are under a huge spotlight right now. Saquon Barkley. Is Saquon Barkley ever going to be Saquon Barkley again? You know, both of these defenses on paper going into this season were highly touted and highly, rated on paper, obviously. And that is because of a lot of how they performed last year. But I mean, like, we're looking at these people, we're looking at these players and these both sides of the ball, like, are they going to show up? So what happens if like, all of these players are like, okay, it's on me. Like, they're watching me right now. This is prime time. We the only game on. Like, this is national television.
Yeah,
like, what am I going to do?
Definitely on these two teams. And
am I going to step up?
I like the Taylor Heineke thing you brought up because, the reason why I feel like a lot of people here in Washington are really high on Taylor Heineke is because you see the dynamic plays with your eyes. You see a player who's trying to put the team on his back in a situation where he didn't have much help outside of Terry McLaurin. Now, when you look at Daniel Jones on the opposite side, Giants fans are like, well, this guy's played in 12 games both seasons, right? When is he going to step up and do that Taylor Heineke thing that we saw in the playoffs? Granted, y'all lost the game to the Bucs, but y'all eventually contended with the Super Bowl winner in that game. And Taylor Heineke showed big flashes of being able to be mobile, elusive in the pocket, get out of the pocket and make plays down the field. There was like 2 throws down the field that he made in that game where I was like so surprised what he did in the pocket, one to buy extra time and to make the throw down the field. Whereas Giants fans with Daniel Jones, we're seeing good. We're just seeing good. Like we see flashes of good. We have not seen no flashes of great dynamic plays yet. We haven't seen a guy who's like, hey, put the women and children to bed and let's go get dinner. You know, we didn't see that. We haven't seen that guy. We haven't seen that demeanor. We haven't seen that swag. And it started right when Taylor Heineke got on the field. We got the sound effects. I talked about this with Tanner last night when Chase Young is talking to him like, kid, you ready? You ready? And Dwayne Haskins is in like the depth of the shot farther back. You can see him back there like just chilling. And you see Taylor Heineke just swagging like, bro, I'm born for this. Yeah, I'm ready. I do this. That's how you think about it in a performer aspect is which how I would think about it, right, as an artist, right? Like you about to go on stage and you backstage with the homie and the homie's like, man, I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous, man. I got butterflies. I don't know if we're going to be able to kill this. Or the dude who's like, yo, come on, man. I'm Hove. I'm about to go out here and just murder this show. You got more confidence. You can play better. We all know that sports are all about confidence, even though football is the ultimate team sport. But like look at a sport like basketball. When Steph Curry is riding high and he's confident, he can shoot it from anywhere. So you need that. You need to be able to play loose. I think that Taylor Heineke is going to play looser in this game to start, but I'm relying on our coaches to be able to counter that with a game plan that's going to be able to put Daniel Jones in the position to succeed, similar to what Sirianni did with Jalen Hurts against the Atlanta Falcons. I think that was a perfect game plan for that kid.
And what's interesting, too, is like, when you say about what we see with our eyes, right? And it's like that's definitely like the whole mystique around Taylor Heineke.
Facts.
You know, because when you look at it from like a business standpoint of football, right? Like I understand why, you know, they went out and got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Taylor Heineke is 28 years old. He's never won an NFL football game. He's thrown 4 touchdowns. He's thrown 4 interceptions.
Lack of opportunity, though. And we chatted about this a little bit off air, how they kind of started their careers, or their careers, are polar opposite as of today, because Taylor Heineke has more playoff experience than Ryan Fitzpatrick, which makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's so funny because when you told me, I was like, I chuckled. And you immediately were like,
oh, I knew.
It makes you chuckle, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of stat that makes you chuckle, because you're talking about a guy who's been on like 15 teams and you didn't play in one playoff game that whole time. So what does that tell me? A lot of bottom-of-the-barrel teams have been bringing you in to try to, you know, put a Band-Aid on a situation, and it hasn't really worked out because none of those teams have gone to the playoffs. But Miami could have been a team that could have been in the playoffs last year. You know, I will say that.
For sure.
But they were having the situation of flip-flopping from quarterback situations. You know, do we invest in the guy who's going to be the future, or do we kind of get the guy who can maybe win now? And you could tell that they were like on a seesaw with that all season, and they won the 10 games, but it didn't get them to the playoffs. But I think that's interesting, you know. And Taylor Heineke, he's got a lot more football to play. At 28 years old, I would say, don't ruin the man's career by keeping him on the bench now. He's in that Taysom Hill kind of bracket, you know, older guy getting a new opportunity. And he's got to take advantage of all his opportunities, take care of the ball for one, and make some plays, man. He seems like a guy who's a dynamic quarterback that can make those plays.
And it's going to be interesting to see how he performs, because, like, you know, that playoff game, the straight adrenaline of that game. And the thing that's crazy is that we got to remember there was basically no fans at that game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, now this your first time, prime time, you know, game in front of fans at home, you know, against a division rival. So it's like, it's kind of crazy. And, you know, the last time a starting quarterback went down and we had to come back and play on short notice was Colt McCoy against the Cowboys. You know, when the...
Did he get the win?
I think that he did get that win. It was on Thanksgiving, maybe? He did beat the Dallas Cowboys once on Thanksgiving. I can't remember if that was the game after the injury happened. But, like, it's just – I saw a shout-out to my boy George on Twitter, you know what I'm saying, who kind of was making that comparison in Washington fan bases to – he's getting these heavy Colt McCoy vibes from Taylor Heineke. And I think a lot of that also is just because the backup quarterback mystique, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not even just the backup quarterback mystique, but, like, that Colt Brennan, you know, rest in peace, that Colt Brennan vibe that we had that one, you know, preseason.
That
it's
preseason
like,
where he balled
you're
out.
always enamored by that quarterback that comes in off the bench or you know, like comes in like out of nowhere, and it's just like, okay, but now we're gonna see it at an extended period of time. You know, a whole game today, and then, you know, for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So if I'm Scott Turner, it's crazy because, like, I'm asking him to open up the playbook, right? But I don't want it to be too much on Taylor Heineke. You know what I'm saying? Because you kind of want to. I hate to say ease him in because it's the National Football League. Like, there is no easing in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you just want it to be like, you want to simplify it a little bit for him at least. You don't want to go out there and throw the whole playbook at him and make him, you know, put a little bit of too much pressure on him and whatnot to try to make plays. You want the people around him who have been the starters since day one, you know, making the plays around him.
Big shout out to Don Vito for the $1.99 super chat. Says, I aspire to have your facial hair beard.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Shout out Don Vito one time, yo. Don Vito been showing up as of late, man. Been supporting the channel a lot, man. We appreciate you, fam.
It's kind of crazy to think about that we're here. You know, like all this off-season moves, and it's just like now we're here with basically like the same setup that we had last season. I know. You know, ending the season. Like we don't have, you know, Curtis Samuel. We don't have, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick. And it's just like, what are we going to do? Maybe this is, you know, all that hype I was going with De'Ami Brown. Maybe this is the game. Maybe Heineke finds a way to get to De'Ami Brown. Because, you know, a lot of times, too, or Cam Sims. Because a lot of times, too, when you get these backup quarterbacks that come in, right, they already have, like, this sort of chemistry with, they have the chemistry with some of the ones, but like those other guys, your number 3 receiver,
second team
like
people, yeah.
Those sort of people kind of step up big in these situations because they have been, practicing with each other for the last like month and a half. You know what I'm saying? So like that's definitely something to look out for too, for sure. But defensively, it's just like Daniel Jones. I mean, so what? Daniel Jones has got how many wins he got? Five wins? He got more than 5, right?
He's got more than 5 wins. He got 3 wins his first season, and he got 6 wins. So he's got 9 total wins now.
Yeah. So and 4 of those wins are against the Washington football team.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's balled out against y'all too. I had his numbers here somewhere.
We've never beat Daniel Jones, and it's a primetime game. Everybody knows how
4
Washington
games, 4
plays.
wins. 225 yards per game, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 68% completion percentage. He was sacked 7 times in 4 games.
James, as far as I know right now, the latest line that I have on the ticker is 40.5 is the over.
40.5.
And Washington is currently favored by 3.5 points. Shout out Sunday in the building.
Hey, Sunday in the building. Sunday is so faithful to the Giants community, yo. We appreciate you for sure.
So, I mean, we're facing an uphill battle here. It's kind of crazy to think about the fact that Washington is favored by 3.5 points.
Yeah,
if this is a road game, I bet you would be.
I don't know, because y'all first week showing it, y'all problems were very evident, right? Time of possession, didn't get enough plays, turnovers. Your red zone defense was amazing, whereas the Giants struggled in all those categories. I think you guys put up a better week 1 performance because with all that trouble, y'all only lost by 4 points. You look at the Giants, it was like that game could have got even more out of hand, 27-13. We ended up kind of evening out some of the statistics towards the end of the game, but it could have been 35-7. Who knows? It was just an ugly game for the Giants. So I'm not too surprised that Washington being favored coming into this game. And I think Taylor Heinicke is going to give y'all a lift. I felt more confident going up against Ryan Fitzpatrick when we did our schedule predictions at the beginning of the year. And I was just looking a little bit more into Taylor Heinicke's numbers. I wanted to kind of revive my memory on the playoff performance that he had. And it was 26 for 44. So y'all threw it 44 times, which is nuts. I don't know why y'all were throwing it so much. He had 306
we didn't have
yards
in that game, right?
I think y'all didn't.
Yeah. We might have, but he was basically hurt.
He was banged up,
game,
1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he was sacked twice in the game. And the Bucs defense is no slouch. We know that front 7 is crazy. Not as ferocious on the back end as far as their secondary goes, but to put up those numbers against a defense that's in the playoffs for a reason, playing well, and then goes on to win the Super Bowl, to me, it's a bit impressive. And I like how he came in relief. You saw a spark, even though you guys didn't get a lot of opportunities against the Chargers. He was 11 for 15, 122 yards and a touchdown. So to me, it's Taylor Heinicke scores touchdowns. That's what I like about him. He finds a way to get the ball in the end zone, and he finds a way to make plays from the pocket. I know you're not super high on him, right? But I'm giving you that outside perspective from the Giants' perspective.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared of him. I'm a little bit scared of him because he has good skill set.
I think a lot of that has to do with his escapability. That's the biggest difference. And in tonight's game, that's going to be pivotal because our offensive line is just looked really bad. And I think you might actually see us trying to run the ball more. Because
now, let's get into that a little bit. I wanted to talk about y'all offensive line because for me, it's I'm not super engulfed in the trenches when I'm watching football. My eyes go towards the ball more. And I'm curious to see, what did you see from your offensive line and kind of what you expect against our defensive line, because we know our front is pretty good front. I wouldn't say our front is as stout as y'all front right now, but in the interior, we have a really good front. We got Leonard Williams out there doing damage. I kind of saw the step back from Tomlinson not being on the field too this game or, this year. As far as stopping the run too, or not as aggressive stopping the run, but we know that the Giants have a weakness on the edge. So how do you think that plays out in this game, and what have you seen from your offensive line so far?
So run blocking offensive line has looked phenomenal. I mean, obviously, phenomenal is a strong word. Let me backtrack. We looked good. Okay?
If they quote you right now on that, they'll be like, "You hear this dude, the Beard? He said they're run."
The run block looks good. The pass block was just it was awful. I mean, we went over the numbers with Cosme in the first week. He was the second worst rated pass blocking tackle in the entire National Football League.
Oh yeah, out of how many was it? 60 something that played or something? Or
it was something it was crazy. I got it right here. let me just, because I do want to bring this up. He was he was 63rd of 64 in pass protection in week 1, but he was the 4th best run blocker in week 1 as a tackle. So, like that's a huge huge difference, like, so. And I think it's funny because I think we do run the ball better on the outside, and it seemed like they were giving more burn to Gibson on the inside than they were on the edges. So I think you'll kind of see, and that goes back to Scott Turner. It's like, are these coaches going to make these sort of adjustments and change things around to, the game plan? Like, okay, if New York is worse on the edges defending than they are on the interior, and if Gibson seems to run a little bit better on the edge, why not give Gibson the ball on the edge? You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems so logical when you talk about it, right? But like, it doesn't always get executed that way, which is the big difference. And then, so you're gonna have to do something, and you probably will see a lot of bootlegs, rollouts, those sort of things from Heinicke, to kind of, get away from the holes in the offensive line when it comes to pass blocking, and also kind of be able to create that space on the edge where the Giants may not be as successful coming against the quarterback as they would be on the interior.
Yeah,
so
that sounds like a really smart game plan.
Yeah.
Nicky was talking about that last night on Entertainers channel. He was saying, like, the Giants need to do a little bit more outside zone running, which I didn't really think about that in the reverse scheme of things, that we're struggling on the edge, and that might be a way to attack us actually in the running game. We'll see if Washington does that in today's game. I think that would be a good plan of attack for sure. Now, let's get into this too, because I want to know your thoughts on this as well. Both of these teams, the New York Giants and the Washington football team last week, struggled massively on third down. Like, massively on third down. I think y'all might have edged us out as far as the horrible performance on third down. Those numbers were ridiculous.
I mean, that is quite possibly one of the worst performances offensively and defensively on third downs that you could possibly have.
Yeah, y'all were 3 for 10 as an offense on third down, and I want to say the Chargers were like 14 of 19 or 14 of 17.
14 of 19, yep.
14 of 19, which is ridiculous. How they get 19 third downs? And then you look at how they closed out the game. We talked about that
third
too.
And
3rd and
17,
17, 3rd and 7. Like, you letting them convert that to run the clock out, and this is supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league. We saw it on the Giants, and where we just struggled to cover the middle of the field. I mean, everybody was having problems in coverage. Peppers he allowed 4 for 4 for 34 yards. Martinez allowed 4 for 4. Darnay Holmes allowed 2 for 3. Adoree Jackson allowed 4 for 6. Logan Ryan allowed 2 for 2, and Xavier McKinney allowed 2 for 3. There's only a couple passes that hit the ground in this whole game against the Broncos. So for me, I don't know how the Giants are going to correct this. I'm looking for Patrick Graham to really go back to the drawing board, and he has been good at that. I've talked about that a few times in the past week. Patrick Graham has been good at making adjustments after the game. The problem with me has been the adjustments in the game. Is when we're struggling on the field, they can't find a way to kind of just plug it up and get a stop to that. But what are you seeing as far as y'all third down defense? How are y'all going to improve? And also, what did you see out of the secondary too? Were a lot of y'all third down woes to blame on the secondary, or was this a linebacker issue, or where were you seeing the most struggle?
So before I get to that, big shout out to Jesse Martin for the $9.99 super chat. Says, love this content. Washington football team squeaks this one out 23-20. Look for your boy Jesse's 24. Jesse got a dope podcast too, Washington football team podcast. So Make sure you drop the name to your podcast in the chat so people can find y'all on YouTube too. Appreciate the love and the support from the Washington football team content creators. So yeah, I mean, listen, the third down, like 3rd and 16, 3rd and 17, whichever one it was. I mean, like, you got to put who's not to blame. Like just for that prime example. I mean, who's not to blame?
I did leave the front out, which I probably shouldn't have, because if you get pressure on the quarterback, then third down is going to be easier.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the week when we were going over the game, the big thing is that timing was that Herbert had with his receivers was a huge issue, and they were getting rid of the ball under 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't get. It's just not. It's not possible to get to the
And
quarterback.
just to chime in on that little stat right there, getting rid of the ball fast. Daniel Jones was one of the cleanest quarterbacks as far as time goes in the pocket. So that's something that y'all definitely have to fix immediately, because if you give Daniel Jones time, we've seen that when he has been successful, he can make throws is when he has time.
Yeah, and the thing is that Andrew Thomas took care of Chase Young last year.
Yeah.
I know Giants fans been talking about that since the day it happened and never stopped talking about it.
Oh, yeah, we've
and
been using
rightfully
that for a
so.
minute.
It's important because young tackle, young defensive end, that's a big deal, especially when you're going to be seeing each other 2 times a year for hopefully the next 10 to 15 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's huge. But I mean, our linebackers defending the pass were horrible. And a lot of that, when you have those quick timing routes and those quick releases, you see a lot of those passes coming across the middle. And obviously, that's going to be on the DBs too. But the way that they had the defense set up, there was no press coverage. So the spacing was all off from the defensive side of the ball, okay? And Ron Rivera talked about this. He said, a lot of our defense is based on accountability, is based on assignments, and not just on the back end, but on the front end too. Like, this is your gap. You got to hit this gap because, if you don't hit this gap, it messes up the whole backflow of the defense. So, there's a lot of that on the defensive side of the ball. And then Ron Rivera also said he thought our young guys played young. And it showed, but if you're gonna put this much value into these young players, okay, and confidence in these young players, to let Morgan Moses walk, okay, to let my man oh my gosh, Jimmy Moreland walk.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Moreland. I know that one upset you. The People's Corner.
Yeah, to let all of these people walk because you got these young rookies in, and they're gonna have to play. Don't make an excuse for, you're young. Well, look, man, you earned a starting job according to the coaching staff. Let's make some plays happen. So the linebacking definitely has to step up because they're gonna need to defend the pass. And this is something where we talked about a little bit too, is that middle of the field.
Yeah.
Which is, it's gonna be super important. So I'm looking for. Coaching staff has a lot to do with this game, okay? If you're not going to make those adjustments, I know it's a short turnaround, 4 days, from Sunday to Thursday, right? But look, this is why you get paid the big bucks. You get paid the big bucks to make these changes. So, you're going to have to, push that defense up because Daniel Jones is getting ready to rock quick too. And then we may not get to the pressure. We may not get those sacks. So move that defense up. Play a little bit more press. That's the only thing you're going to do. Throw these wide receivers off their routes a little bit. That disrupts the timing, which gives the defensive line time to get to the quarterback. And if you're the defensive line and you get the time, you better make it to the quarterback because you might not get that opportunity again. So it's about as a defensive unit creating opportunities. I'm not necessarily saying creating turnovers, but create the opportunity to create the turnover.
If you look at the statistics here, Daniel Jones is only throwing the 3 interceptions or whatever in the 4 games, and that's how you guys can win the game. Is our offense is set up and predicated on not making mistakes, and one mistake, as you saw against the Broncos, can completely change the outcome of a game. Giants are in a game, Daniel Jones fumbles, and then bam, now we're down 2 scores when he fumbles. We're going down 3 scores. The game looks like it's out of reach. But I wanted to get to this question here from Steve T, where he says, if Daniel Jones has a trash game against Heineke, will Awthentik finally give up on him? And I'll tell you what it's kind of like for me. It's like a relationship, right? You don't just decide it in one day, right? You're not just like, oh, I'm about to break up with her, or, I got to break up with this person, right? It's a slow thing. Now, you might know in the middle of the year that by December I'm breaking up with her, right? But I'm going to slow this down. I'm not going to just jump the gun. So for me, it's I got to see up to at least week 8 for Daniel Jones to be able to make any assessment about this season. I'll make my assessment then, and I'll kind of have a ballpark gauge of if it's time to get rid of him or if it's time to keep him or whatever. But I'm going to give him the whole season. I want to see what he can do the whole season. If he struggles in the front half of this season and plays well in the back half, it's not going to convince me that he's the guy. So I think that I would bring in a quarterback in the following season to challenge Daniel Jones, somebody either a rookie or a proven player that will come in and challenge him in camp, and maybe that'll elevate his play as well, or we find ourselves a new quarterback. But right now, Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Y'all know I've been copping for Daniel Jones for 2-3 years now. I think he can be the guy for New York Giants. My whole excuse previous to this was that he didn't have the weapons. Now we got the weapons. It's really no excuse. I'm not going to blame this on Jason Garrett, even though I do think that his game plans are not like A1. I'm not going to blame the maturation of Daniel Jones on Jason Garrett.
Yeah, and look, you can't – it's so easy to get emotional especially when, you're so invested like we are, in our teams, where it's like, you don't want to just be like, have that emotional, like, oh my God, he just turned the ball over. Like, all he does is turn the ball over. I'm done with Daniel Jones. Like, like, we're week 2 right now. Like, obviously we talked about it, that this is kind of like, must win, but you hate it to be. Like, we got an extra game, you know what I'm saying? But it's just
it gives us a little bit more of a buffer, just a little bit.
It's crazy. Shout out to Sebastian, says it's unreal how underrated you guys are. Much respect.
Hey, we appreciate that, man. We definitely appreciate that, man. And that's cool. I kind of like being underrated, man. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for like this like super large community platform on YouTube, man. I always been a person that's stuck with my day ones. That's why me and the Beard still ride together right now. Everybody we about to roll up to the game with is all day ones. These are homies I've been in the sandbox with. So like, as far as the community goes, y'all were the day ones. I don't know what brought y'all here, but we are just like completely just like excited that y'all were a part of this beginning of Awthentik and The Beard, man. Shout out PTA Sports in the building one time, my man Pest.
Man, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
All right. How many turnovers? Because I feel like this game could potentially be, go back to what I was talking about, spotlight game, right? Like, what if this game is like insane on like there's huge defensive plays, but then the offenses, make some big plays. Like, is this game gonna be 13-10, or is this game going to be like 35-29? Like how many turnovers do you think each team will have on the offense? So let's just say, how many times do you think each one of the teams will turn the ball over?
I think like this, as far as the New York Giants go, I think when they got to practice for the first day, there was a lot of laps being run. I think the Giants are going to come in here and play a clean game. No turnovers.
No turnovers.
No turnovers. And I think you guys are going to play a pretty clean game, but one late turnover is what's going to give the Giants the edge to win this game. Now, I picked it to be I don't know if I picked this on last week when I was talking about scores with you, but when I was talking with Tanner last night, I was saying that this score will be the same as our Broncos game, except the Giants will have 27. I'm looking at 27-13 Giants in this game, and I think it'll just be like Washington's going to be trying to make plays late. Heineke's going to have to try to get something down the field. And that'll be when you get the one turnover in this game. And it'll probably be Logan Ryan. I'm going to bank on it being Logan Ryan again.
Man, I don't
appreciate that, Leon.
I don't know, man. What? Like, I'm
the only way the Giants do turn the ball over is if y'all get pressure on the quarterback. It'll be a fumble.
I'm just so torn. I just don't know. Like, it's either going to be like.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
4 combined turnovers, or 0 combined turnovers.
4 would be tough. That'd be a sloppy game. The reason why I don't think it's 4 is because we got a nice hot day over here in Washington D.C. So this is like ideal football weather.
It might rain a little bit this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, you remember last time it rained, Eli came out here and torched y'all. He put up 28 last time it rained out here. He came out here and torched y'all. I was walking through that parking lot feeling so great. When the Giants win in FedEx, I don't ever want to leave the stadium.
It's them after the game tailgate sessions be crazy.
Yeah,
man.
Big shout out Moto. That's local fam right there.
We're gonna be Green Lot E40.
Yeah,
That's
Green Lot E40. Pull up, man. Pull up. We're going to be chilling.
Shout out Lax044 with a $4.99 super chat. Says Jones and Barkley were great under Shermer with a worse offensive line and worse under Garrett with a better line. The offense won't be good until he is gone.
But they're keep that up. Keep that up.
Oh, my bad.
So there's something about this sentence that kind of is not right, because Jones and Barkley were great under Shermer with a worse O-line, but Garrett has not had Jones and Barkley.
How many games total have they played together? Complete games. Jones and Barkley.
I think it's like maybe around actually, I think it was like only around like 11 or something. I think it was something slight. Somebody in the chat might be able to look that up. But they know, Jones's numbers are always better with Barkley on the field. It's like he turns the ball over way less when Barkley's on the field. But the other thing, my point about what I was just saying is that, like, we're judging Garrett in a system where he hasn't had Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley got hurt week 2 last year, so Jason Garrett has only had 3 games with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Pat Shurmur had a whole full season, which it did look really good. 2018 was 2018 Ben McAdoo with Eli and Odell Beckham and Saquon Barkley? I think that was Ben McAdoo.
That was 2017 maybe?
No, 2018. Because 2019, OBJ goes to the Browns and he put up about the same numbers that he put up in 2018 with the Giants, and then he got hurt the next year. He got hurt last season or whatever.
I think this is an interesting question too. How much is Saquon really going to play tonight?
I think
that
just
short
as much,
turnaround.
I think just as much as he played in the last game. He got 11 carries last game. I'd look for it to be probably just a little bit more than that. I'm looking at maybe 12 or 13 carries. And it won't surprise me if we see Brightwell get into the game today. We need a spark in the running game. And sometimes, man, it's I know everybody like to talk about scheme and philosophy and play design and playbook, but sometimes, man, you just got to beat the man next to you. And
Facts.
Sometimes you just bring in a quarterback or you bring in a running back or you bring in a lineman who can just spark that. He just knows how to play when the lights are on. And I'm hoping that maybe Brightwell is the kind of guy that you could plug in for the secondary type carries, and really be effective, and that could help Saquon Barkley in return. But I'm looking at 12 to 13 carries for Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones he misses Saquon Barkley a lot on the checkdowns, and then when he did catch him on the checkdown last week, Saquon dropped one late in the game there. I don't think Saquon's going to be dropping too many of those, but Daniel Jones has got to keep his eyes in the flats and for the checkdown. I think Eli Manning just totally put Saquon Barkley on a pedestal that 2018 year where he had 91 catches. A lot of that was checkdowns and letting Saquon do what he does.
Listen, I'm not going to throw out the possibility that tonight's game mirrors Dallas-Tampa Bay last week.
Oh, high scoring?
High scoring with the turnovers, big offensive plays, big defensive plays.
I have not – I don't think I've witnessed a game with Daniel Jones like that. It's so rare that he throws 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. Outside of the rookie year, which Pat Shurmur, I think, was doing a good job rolling him out the pocket and getting him to cut the field in half and making things simpler for him, whereas Garrett is trying to make it more simple for him by just making it one read. It's interesting.
Have we ever been to an overtime game?
Probably, man. Probably. It's this is why I wanted to start the podcast with you. I know when you first came to me with the idea, let's start a podcast, I was shaky about it at first, right? But the one reason that really made me go yeah, let's do this is because now we're documenting our picks and our positioning during the year about football. It's so much easier to remember what happens in football when we have to talk about it every week. Whereas 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I was at FedEx Field, I'm 10 shots of Jameson in, 4 or 5 beers in. It's I don't even remember what happened. Could have been an overtime game and I wasn't even there for it. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, man.
There you go. 2019, Giants went to overtime at Washington. Was that the Thanksgiving game? Man.
Yeah, you see, man. Right? I'm I don't even know. Man,
that Thanksgiving game was crazy.
Thing that Kevin was talking about, I'm looking like crap right now.
we deep fried a turkey in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, that was dope. That was when I got put onto the deep fryer, man.
Look, this is a good point too. If it's a high scoring game, puts 2 defensive coordinators on the hot seat.
Nah, that might be on my Overreaction Monday show right there. That's a good one, though, Kevin. I like that. That's a really good one because, we know that these defenses were pretty decent last year. Washington ranked really high. Giants ranked number 9. And I've been talking about this all year. I think it was a bit of smoke and mirrors, just a little bit, because you can't forget the Washington football team. For me, it was the pass defense that was a little bit overrated. And for the Giants, it's the quarterbacks that we played against, man. All the backup quarterbacks that the Giants went up against, it was ridiculous. I mean, we played against there was a backup for the Bengals. What was that kid's name?
Ryan Finley.
I don't even know if it was Ryan Finley. I got it right here, so let me pull it up.
If it's not Ryan Finley, it's what was the guy's guy? Brandon Allen.
Brandon Allen, thank you. That's exactly who it was. It was Brandon Allen because there was 2 Allens on the list. I remember it was 2 quarterbacks with the same list. So we saw Brandon Allen, Kyle Allen. We saw Mitchell Trubisky. It was just Alex Smith, Carson Wentz. So it's those are the games where, you should be able to make your defense look a little bit better. These quarterbacks weren't that good, man. So I think that for the Giants, yeah, 9th-ranked defense, that's all good. But at the same time, a 9th-ranked defense could easily finish 15th, if you play against some decent quarterbacks who are making some plays, man. It was just they showed up against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. I thought that was a good game. That was probably one of our best defensive showings and how we won that game. And they showed up early against Ben Roethlisberger a little bit. But you know how you could tell when a quarterback is not like, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not challenged. Ben Roethlisberger was never challenged in that early game against the Giants. It's like you kind of looking at a two-score game, the whole game kind of, you're up by like 10-7. You're kind of comfortable. You never really got to apply that moxie. You know what I'm saying? Like you just go out there and you just, all right, if I don't get this drive, it's not the end of the world.
But doesn't it feel like that now for Daniel Jones? Do you think how much of that does that like reverse with Daniel Jones? Like, is every drive like feel like it's the end of the world right now for him? Like
a lot of that has to do with the philosophy and the play design for sure. And when you saw it in week 1, the defense got to get off the field. I swear the most I see Daniel Jones struggle is when the defense can't get off the field. And now we're like, yo, you got to score. But who else was just like that? Eli Manning. Whenever you saw Eli Manning fall short, it was because the defense was falling short and they didn't give him enough opportunities. But Eli used to get so many opportunities late in the game. Like there'd be 7 minutes left in the game. Eli Manning got 3 and 4 opportunities. Might get one last one with 58 seconds left on the clock to try to win the game. Whereas like with Daniel Jones in week 1, we'll say he just wasn't getting the opportunities. Last year when he was getting some of those opportunities, you see the Giants going 3 and out a lot and just not being able to sustain drives. A lot of people blame that on the absence of Saquon Barkley, but this year we don't have that excuse. And I told you, just like Heineke and just like anybody else who's on the field, I don't care if you was a running back in college or if you was playing D-end and now you the quarterback. You out on the field, the coaches think you the best guy to be out on the field. Go out there and make plays. So I'm looking for Saquon Barkley to make some plays in this game, man. And at the wide receiver position, I need Kenny Golladay a little bit more in the mix. It makes me feel a little bit better that you talk about Terry McLaurin being a guy who was on the outside of the game plan pretty much with Washington football team last week, only getting 4 targets. Kenny Golladay got 5 targets, I believe, and like 4 of them were late in the game. So for me, it's like get him involved early. Get the run going, man. Like what happened to committing to the run? Why Washington, Bad Dog brought up Riggo. Terry Allen,
Clinton Portis.
Clinton Portis. Oh, early on, Clinton Portis was a dog. You go back to the
He's the second leading rusher in. I want to say he's the second leading rusher in Washington football
rightfully,
history.
he should be. Y'all running back situation is y'all never really had that super guy over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Riggins was probably the guy in the 80s for sure. But as far as the Giants go, we're the same thing. We're supposed to be playing smash mouth football. Joe Judge is responsible for this. He said he did not want like some like whole extravagant offensive scheme. So you brought in Garrett. Well, let's go smash mouth football. Why is Saquon Barkley only carrying the ball like 4 and 5 times in the first half? Doesn't make any sense.
It's almost like they just it's like if it doesn't work the first like 4 times, it's
Panic.
Just like out the window.
Yep, let's throw the ball.
Like and it's I feel the exact same way with Washington.
Yeah,
the exact same way.
Last year, you complained about that all last year that they could not commit to the run. With the Giants, we weren't committing to the run. They're like, well, Saquon Barkley's not there. And then finally, in the back half of the season, they commit to the run, and we start winning ugly games. If you got to win ugly games, just win. It does not matter. Giants are coming from a smash mouth perspective. We had big guys in the running back position that could really truck people. Brandon Jacobs, Amon Bradshaw, take y'all back to Joe Morris, Rodney Hampton. Man, we always have bruiser
even
backs.
A little bit of Ron Dane with Tiki Barber for a little while too.
Yeah, the Thunder and Lightning with Ron Dane. Yeah, that was a thing. What was my man?
Who else? Lendell White. Wasn't
Lendell
he on
White? No, we didn't have Lendell
no, that
White.
Was Tennessee. That was Tennessee.
We had and he was overrated. He was always overrated to me. He was slow and he was a fake big back. I was gonna bring up what was my man's name? Derek Ward. Was it Derek Ward? I don't know if you remember him because we had Bradshaw, Jacobs, and Ward. And then Ward ended up getting hurt and they kind of felt like we didn't really need him. But Ward was a great runner as well, too. Giants have been smash mouth football for a long, long time. And I can't forget who was my homie that came over from the Cardinals. I always get his name mixed up with Joe Morris, but it was what was my man's name? Otis Anderson. Otis Anderson, he was a beast when he came over, and we ended up winning the Super Bowl with Otis Anderson. Hey, I didn't see that. I did not see that. Yeah, that's good. That's what's up, yo. Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's what they was calling them, yup, when we had that trio. So the Giants are predicated on that. Like, let's commit to the run. And honestly, I don't care who's getting the carries. Like, come out. Can we get, like, runs on first and every other second down for, like, the first 4 drives? Just hammer the rock.
I mean, I would not be mad at that. I mean, I'm both rightfully so with us too. And it's just, and look, this is Washington, New York, NFC East. I want to see some cool. You know what I'm saying?
Them old Madden sounds.
Or I want to see some fireworks. You know what I'm saying? Like this potentially, right, could be a breakout superstar game for both teams, right? Yeah. And we not in the business. Authentik and the Beard not in the business of moral victories, right? Like
Facts.
Some people might be.
Ain't no trophies for third place.
No. But if the performances of both of these teams in the first week, we're going into this game, it could be, you can change your season around with a loss, or you can lose and be on the way to drafting in the top 5.
Yeah, and we know that the next 5 games for both of these teams is set up to be really crazy. We have to win this game. That's why this feels like a must-win game, is because we know what's coming down the schedule. Giants got Atlanta, and then after that, it's just a problem. It's a problem. And I know y'all got that tough stretch right around the bye week. Dallas Cowboys could get a real quick early start and an early jump on the Giants and the Washington football team here early. I'm not too scared of the Eagles yet. I want to see the Eagles do it against some other teams. And they're going to be facing the 49ers here this week, which to me, I know a lot of people are high on the 49ers this year. The 49ers don't scare me. Detroit Lions hung with them and lost by 8.
Man, we're going to see how long Jimmy G holds up in that offense before they unleash the beast.
That's facts, man. That's definitely facts. So a couple more questions before we get out of here, man. We appreciate y'all being here, man. We got about 70 people in the building one time. That's what's up, man. And if you haven't heard and you're just pulling up, me and the Beard are actually going to be at the game here. We're going to be sitting in section 113. We're tailgating in Green Lot E. If you want to pull up, come have some drinks, come have some food with us, just chill, hang, talk some football. I'm going to be doing a recap of this game, and I think the plan I'm liking and leaning towards right now is doing a little halftime thing, maybe live for you guys at the game. Say our thoughts on the first half. It's going to be 6 of us sitting in the same section and whatnot. But what I wanted to ask you, man, I think a guy we didn't talk about too much here is, what are your thoughts on Terry McLaurin going up against this Giants secondary in this game? You're probably going to be seeing a lot of James Bradbury out there, and the new signing of Adoree Jackson as well, who's also good in man-to-man coverage. I think the Giants might get out of man-to-man coverage a little bit in this game because we struggled in the past game. But what's your thoughts on Terry McLaurin's matchup here? And before you get to that real quickly, salute to Terry McLaurin. That catch last week right now is probably at the top of catch of the year right now after week 1.
Man, that was a catch, and we needed that, because I don't think he had caught a pass up to that point.
That was his first catch.
That was first catch of the game,
and he got up super hype on that, yo. I love the way he got up, super excited on that. I like when players show the passion like that, man.
I think if Terry McLaurin gets the targets, he's gonna make the plays. So I think it's important to. It's difficult because I want to establish the run, right? I think you establish the run as long as the run is working, to the point where you're converting a couple of third downs early in the first quarter. Then you hit a play action pass to Terry McLaurin, kind of open things up a little bit, and then you could start seeing him run some more of those intermediate routes. Because a lot of people forget Terry McLaurin is phenomenal after the catch.
Yeah,
he's top tier in the league statistically when it comes to yak. So I would like to see them just some versatility in the route running. That's really what I just want to see.
And the Giants struggled against Denver as far as yak goes. 97 yards of that was yak. Teddy Bridgewater was averaging 6 yards per throw, and he had 97 yards of yak from his wide receiver. So I know you're looking for that.
I think that you kind of have to mirror a lot of what Denver did with Bridgewater. Just think about it. Bridgewater was moving a lot, right? And what are we looking for Heineke to do? We're looking for Heineke to kind of get outside of the pocket, make some of those rollout throws, some of those bootleg throws. You know what I'm saying? So dragging, Logan Thomas across the middle, you know what I'm saying? And then kind of, maybe having like the slot guy run that intermediate, the middle, route, and then opening it up to either De'Ami Brown, Terry McLaurin, Cam Sims, one of those three guys hitting the deep route, and then Heineke just kind of like mixing things up because we all know Heineke doesn't have the strongest of the arm. So it will be interesting to see how they utilize the passing game and the routes that they're running, especially against the Giants secondary, who had some issues last week.
Yeah, and I saw Heineke open up and try to make a throw down the field in y'all game, and it came up short. It reminded me of, like, me when I was, like, in 9th grade. Like, you try to chuck that bomb deep, and it just comes out like a duck, and you're like, oh, I'm 15 yards short.
Good at first, and then, like, you start to see it come down. You're like, oh, it's not going to get there.
Yeah, that's real,
Big
man.
shout out to Maria. Thank you very much for the $5
hey,
super chat. Says, have a great time today at your tailgate. Hope Gretz is making her Puerto
I like
Rican
that emoji.
rice.
Yeah. We definitely gonna turn up.
Oh man,
we're almost there, man. Yeah,
we're almost
I know you got to drive up here. We got to get things, packed up and all that. Get this grill in there, man. We'll wrap this up here in, I guess, a couple minutes here. Any last questions, maybe from the chat? Any last statements from you guys? We'll highlight some of these and maybe talk about this. And for the meantime, I also want to talk about what you expect from your D-line. Last year you had this thing where you would call out how many sacks you guys would get. And I forget who it was. I think it was like week 3. You were like 7 sacks, book it. And y'all came out and got 8 sacks.
I think it was 5.
They came out and put up 7. Or I remember they topped your number.
Yeah,
I remember it was
like
higher
that,
than your number. I think it was higher than 5. I don't think it was 5. 5 sounds a little low. But how many sacks are you predicting for this game against the Giants? And also, we talked about the turnovers a little bit there too. How many of those sacks you think a return might turn into a turnover and force Daniel Jones to let go of the ball with the Burger King hands?
Yeah, you had to throw that one in there.
I like that, the Burger King hands.
All right, so you know what? Scare money don't make money. So, the Beard going to come through. He going to give y'all the good over-under. I think I'm going to go with 4 sacks today.
4 sacks, okay.
Defensive line is going to get 4 sacks today. They got to show up. This is the other thing, too. You know what? I'm glad you brought this up because, to me, one of the most important things I'm looking for is the difference in Chase Young in this game versus not just the first week, but the first matchup against the Giants, or the last matchup against the Giants, where Andrew Thomas really gave him the business. Because that's what you want to see out of a young player. You want to see that sort of adjustment. Did he add some new moves? Like, did he study what was going wrong against Andrew Thomas and what was going wrong against the other young stud that the Chargers have on their O-line? What's his name? Slater, right?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
So, oh my God, the one play that they showed against him, against Chase Young. His center of gravity is so perfect. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like I want to see if he can make that jump, right? And then if Chase Young can do that, it's opening the door for Montez Sweat, which is one of the biggest things that helped that defensive line last year was the ability for one of them to take over and open up the door for the other one. So I'm going to go with 4 sacks for the defensive line. I'm going to go with 2 turnovers today for the defense.
2 turnovers.
Also. So the Washington defense, I'm not saying they're going to hold them to 0 or anything like that, but I think we're going to get 4 sacks and 2 turnovers. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Giants did the exact same number.
Oh, I like that. You're giving us a little bit of praise there. That's what's up.
I truly believe that this is going to be one of those games where it's like it's going to be a heavyweight fight, and you're going to see some turnovers, but you're going to see these offenses do some good things. I really believe that, So I haven't been this excited about a matchup between the Giants and the football team than I have in a while. And most of the pressure is on Washington because we haven't been able to beat you guys.
Yeah, y'all definitely struggled. And before you get to that super chat, I wanted to bring up this one over under. Sean G says over under targets for Galloway. I'm going to go 6.
Targets?
Yep.
I think he gets 8 targets today.
That's what's up.
8 targets.
And you got a couple super chats there.
Lax044 with the $1.99 super chat says, if Solder is starting 7, if he isn't 4.
Yeah, talking about how many sacks we're going to allow.
Or sacks, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I dug a little deeper into the Solder stuff, man. Like, y'all know I got faith in Solder to be the starter here because we really are struggling at right tackle. Matt Pert has not stepped up. But man, that play with Von Miller, where Von Miller came from out the screen. Did you see that? Did you see the 3 back-to-back tweets I posted on this Nate Solder play?
Yeah, I did.
Bro, that looked like a wrestling move. That was really bad. Von Miller, man. If Von Miller can continue to play like that, the Denver Broncos are going to be a team to watch out for.
And then
that
Bradley
might be
Chubb
one of my
come back
sleeper.
healthy,
right? And then secondary is damn good over there, man. So yeah, Solder's got to get it together. I don't know what it is. Solder got to get it together, man. And Hernandez got to get it together too, man. They both had pretty bad games, and the right side of our line is definitely struggling. I feel you, man. I think Solder's going to be out there, but he better not allow no 7 sacks. And I'm worried. I'm worried about Montez Sweat big time. I'm more worried about Montez Sweat than I am Chase Young.
Big shout out to Johan for the $9.99 super chat. Says, congrats on another amazing season, fellas. Love to see the growth.
Appreciate you, Johan. Shout out to homie one time in the building.
Faux show. All right, man. You ready to we ready to put our money where our mouths are?
Yes.
Let me ask you this really quick. How many score predictions have you made so far in this game?
Like changing them up?
That was going to be the part. That was going to be the B to the A question.
This will be my third. Yeah,
third.
I might have said and hinted towards some scores maybe 2 other times too, but this will be my third official prediction.
Okay.
And I've
only given one official.
100.
I've only given one official, and that was when I was on with Cop Pizzle. And I feel like once you set yourself to a score,
you gotta stick to your story.
You gotta stick to it, right?
Simpson. Stick by my story.
Because like I could talk myself into like 3 different scores right now. I could talk myself into a 13-10 score, either team. I could talk myself into a 35-31 score, either team. I gotta but I'm gonna stick to my original score.
And what you
I'm
got?
gonna tell you. All right. So I believe that the Washington football team
is gonna
come out on top. Will win this game by a final score of 23-20.
20. Yeah, that's your score. I remember that one.
23-20.
I like that, and I don't think that's too far off. First time I made my score prediction, I was not thinking of Taylor Heineke. I didn't have him in mind. I think he might give you guys a little bit of a boost and give you a touchdown, but I'm going to stick with my original score. I had 27-13 New York Giants. I think our offense is going to be able to open it up today. But don't be surprised if it's 27-20 because I think Taylor Heineke does have the capability to put one more touchdown on the board for the Washington football team. Daniel Jones, we need to see it today, man. We need to see it today. Giants fans across the country want to see you succeed, brother. We're on your side. We're on your side, Daniel Jones. It's time to step up, put this team on your back, man. That me and my homies always say that in 2K. Put the team on your back and win the damn game.
Somebody just asked what the over-under was on Chase pointing at Heineke's jersey. Speaking of backs.
I'm going to take the under.
We're going to get to one more question before we go, because I think it's a good question. Here is the question. What is better, Washington's defense or Giants'
Check this
offense?
out. Got some breaking news from Ian Rappaport from NFL Now. It says, let me scroll that. It says that after undergoing a battery of tests and seeking several expert opinions, Washington football team quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick will attempt to rehab his hip without surgery for now. It says he's expected to miss about 8 weeks. Taylor Heineke until at least November.
So he was going to miss 6 to 8 weeks anyways with the surgery, right?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Maybe they were saying 6 to 8 weeks off the break to kind of like give that buffer with the surgery or not. But I don't think we see Ryan Fitzpatrick again. I think that's a wrap. $10 million.
Listen, let me ask you. In reality, because it's 6 to 8 weeks, I don't want to say this, but I don't want it to come off in a negative light either. But I have to hope that. Because if we don't see Ryan Fitzpatrick again, that means Taylor Heineke is getting the job done and we're winning football games. Because if he's not getting the job done and we're not winning football games and Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back in 6 weeks and he's like, hey, let's go, then he's back in the game. We're rocking with Fitz. Because there's a good chance.
That might be overreaction Monday.
There's a good chance we go 2-6.
Yeah. You go 2-6 and he comes back healthy, you put him in right away? I don't know.
It depends on where the rest of the division is.
Because at 6 to 8 weeks, he's probably coming back right around the bye. Y'all going to come out the bye and play Tampa Bay. Whew. Oh, my God. Redskins are in trouble. Sorry, Washington football team is in trouble. Y'all are in trouble.
We need tonight for sure.
You guys need Taylor Heineke to start balling. Straight up and down, man. Straight up and down, man.
You know, it sucks because I have to swallow the pill of you know, not necessarily being a Taylor Heineke guy. But
Man,
I mean,
I don't know why. I don't know why you're not on the Taylor Heineke bandwagon.
I'm not a bandwagon guy, man. I need to.
You was on the
more.
Dwayne Haskins bandwagon.
I wasn't on the Dwayne. That's because we invested. I wasn't on the bandwagon. I was the only person on the wagon. I was driving the wagon. I was steering.
You was a
one-man
band.
You
was a one-man band on the wagon. You and Dwayne Haskins riding off into the sunset. Strippers and everything, right in the middle of COVID.
We call it the glitter wagon.
You're right about that, man. Then again, a dub is a dub. Let's get this dub today, man. I'm hyped for these Giants. I picked them at the beginning of the season. I don't remember what score prediction I picked at the beginning of the season, but I picked them to win this game. I picked us to lose against the Denver Broncos. So far, I'm 1-1 right now. Let's hope Awthentik is right on this one, man, and the Giants can come out here and get a victory today. This is going to be fun, man. I'm going to be trying to watch this with a very focused eye, man. Normally when I'm at these games, I'm a little bit lost and a little bit delirious.
That's why he said focus eye and not eyes.
Yeah, gotta keep one. You know that one drunk eye where you be, I'm all right, man. I ain't. Why is it when somebody's like really plastered and they're really drunk? They be like, I ain't drunk. I only had, and they start breaking down their drinks, and it's like, dog, you just named like 6 or 7 drinks. My girl's the opposite. Man. My girl's the opposite. She's like, no, I only had 2 drinks. She's like,
let me tell you, that's the number.
Yeah, 2 drinks.
Josie
only had 2 drinks.
Josie, the same thing. Always.
They went out the other night, man. Came back
I know.
Turned up. He said, I know. Hey, Josie, you saw that face he made for you? He said, I know.
She came home, and I had to be up early that morning. I had to be up at 4:30. She came home at like 2:30. I was like, she did her best not to wake me up, but you knew I was going to wake up. So I wake up, and I'm like, man, I got to get up in 2 hours, man. I went downstairs and slept on the couch. I love you, though, babe.
Hey, man, we about to have a blast to this game, man. We still got 73 people here in the chat, man. We appreciate y'all tuning in to Awthentik and The Beard pregame show for the Giants at Washington football team. This is going to be a fantastic game, man. I think we got all of our thoughts out for this one, man. This should be I'm just hoping that we could just keep this streak going, man. We're going for our 6th straight win. Let's keep that streak going, man. I'm hyped, bro. I'm just ready for this game. I got a couple things I got to pack down. It's going to fly by. You know how it is when we get to that parking lot. This game's going – the whole tailgate's going to fly by. Sun's going to be down. We're going to be sitting in the seats. Kickoff Thursday night. I believe it's 8:20, 8:30 kickoff, man. I'm hyped, man. Giants Nation, y'all know what it is. We out here trying to get this dub one time. Start the season off right, man. 0-2, man. You know, 0-2 won't scare me, though. Y'all know the Giants won a Super Bowl after going 0-2, so it ain't going to scare me. We got 17 games. So we got to be patient with this team. Be patient with this quarterback. Be patient with these coaches, man. This is going to be one for the record books. I got a good feeling about this game, man. 2 young quarterbacks, Taylor Heineke, Daniel Jones. This is going to be a fantastic matchup of 2 aggressive and great fronts as far as the defense goes. 2 secondaries that have been playing well as far as last season goes. Had a down week this past week. Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man. I'm hyped, bro.
I am super hyped. Don't forget, if you guys are coming to the game, come check us out. We will be in Greenlaw E40, tailgating, throwing it down. Washington and Giants fans mixing it up, chopping it up. And then we will be sitting in section 113. So, you know, if you see the dude, I'm going to be wearing the Sean Taylor jersey. I'm going to take the Darryl Green off. You see the dude with the yellow hat and the Sean Taylor jersey, make the one-handed catch. Remember, I told y'all that was going to be me.
Hey, let's get some biceps in the chat one time before we get up out of here, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Awthentik and The Beard. Left side.
Strong side.
We in the building, man. Y'all be good, man. Y'all, root for y'all team. Giants going to need y'all today, man. I'm going to try to pop into Tanner's live stream around 4 o'clock. Look for us to be live at the half from our cell phones. Production quality ain't going to quite be what you're getting right now, but it is what it is. As long as you're getting Awthentik and The Beard, Washington football team, and the Giants, it is what it is. We appreciate y'all, man, one time for being here, y'all. We see y'all after this game one time, y'all. Peace.